Hello everyone, welcome back to Rewired with your host Khadija Farosh. For those of you just joining us, this podcast is all about differentiating between fact and fiction through exploring our teenage minds and psychology. Now I don't want to spoil the rest of the episode, so I want you all to sit back, relax, and enjoy. Welcome to the fourth and final episode of Rewired's first ever mini-series where I'm discussing birth order and whether it psychologically shapes our personalities or if that's just a big myth seen all around pop psychology today. So just to let you guys know, for this mini-series, I wanted to keep each episode short, sweet, and concise, so this probably means that I won't be going into too much detail in terms of content, but I have linked the papers and articles that I've discussed down below if you guys do want to do some deeper research. Now, if you haven't already listened to the first, second, and third episodes of this series, I recommend you do. They provide a lot of background information and it would be nice to listen in order. But each episode has been made in a way where you can start anywhere, so if you really want to know about only children first, feel free to keep listening. If you have listened to the previous episodes of this series already, thank you so much for keeping the journey going. But just to let you know, I will be repeating some context for those who just started with this episode, so I recommend that you guys skip ahead by about 3 minutes. There may be some repetition in terms of conceptual information throughout the course of this episode, but I suppose that's better for learning. Birth order is almost universally thought to determine how intelligent, nice, responsible, sociable, or open to new experiences we are, essentially our personalities, especially in pop psychology. This theme has been widely discussed amongst the general public outside of the scientific community, and for this reason, a lot of one-size-fits-all stereotypes have been established about each category in the birth order. So, oldest children are often stereotyped as perfectionists, serious, dominant. People may see middle children to be neglected or overlooked, youngest children outgoing or attention-seeking, and only children as socially inflexible or spoiled. It's important to remember that these stereotypes are often oversimplified and don't accurately reflect the diverse range of personalities within each birth order category. Individual experiences, parenting styles, and cultural factors play significant roles in shaping personality development. Now, I wanted to ask you, are these stereotypes true or anywhere near the truth? And does birth order even minorly affect personality in general? Well, 2 major papers have emerged within this subfield of psychology, which I will link below, to show that birth order has little to no substantive effect on personality. The first, titled The Association of Birth Order with Personality and Intelligence in a Representative Sample of U.S. High School Students, tested a huge sample to analyze the relation between birth order and personality in a between family design, and the average effect was equal to a correlation of 0.02. Just to clarify, a between family study design compares the personality traits of unrelated people who have different birth ranks. In the second paper, titled Examining the Effects of Birth Order on Personality, they investigated the link between birth order and personality in 3 large samples from Great Britain, the United States, and Germany, using both between and within family designs. To clarify again, within family designs examine personality ratings from sibling pairs, parents, peers, so people who have relation to each other in a way, in contrast to the between family design, which compares the traits of unrelated people. So that's between family designs and within family designs. The results of this test showed that birth order had no effect on all aspects of personality, with the exception of intelligence and self-reported intellect. When it came to intelligence, firstborns were recorded to have slightly higher scores. And no guys, I promise I'm not just saying that because I'm a firstborn. So when looking at these 2 studies, it can be said that birth order has little to no substantive relation to personality trait development, and only a minor relation to the development of your intelligence. So it's a win for the eldest children. Now that we have this established, for the rest of today's episode, I'm going to be diving deeper into the thought process of those who establish these stereotypes regarding only children, where they came from, what may have spurred them, and of course the true personalities of only children. Only children. Honestly, I believe only children face the most slander when it comes to stereotypes all over social media. They're said to be spoiled, uptight, bad in communication, and they honestly have a bad rep all over pop psychology and in the media. But once again, it's important to acknowledge the sources of these stereotypes, how exaggerated they really are, and differentiate them from their realities. And as we previously established, biologically, birth order has little to no substantive impact on personality from birth. So why are these stereotypes established? And what does the true personality of an only child look like? If you've listened to the previous episodes, then I'm sure you all know the answer to the first question already. But if you guys haven't, then I have another important question for you all. To reference back to the previous episodes of this series, have you ever heard of the nature versus nurture scientific debate? In simple terms, nature refers to the biological or genetic predispositions that impact the traits of a person, whether this be the physical, emotional, or intellectual traits. Nurture describes the influence of learning and other environmental factors on these traits, such as parental styles, personal traumas and experiences, cultural factors, ethnic factors, etc. And when it comes to birth order and the establishment of these stereotypes and actual traits, nurture plays a significant role. So parental attention and social interactions or situations are the main factors which influence the personalities of only children. But just before we get into that, I want to restate from the previous episodes and preface this by saying that these characteristics and circumstances that I will be discussing often occur in the typical atomic family. There are some factors which may skew the appearance of these characteristics, such as parental involvement and what your intimate family actually looks like, and of course other things. So I want you guys to keep that in mind before I explain anything. So because of the fact that only children have no other siblings, they tend to seek intellectual stimulation through books, hobbies, or other activities leading to an increased creativity in them. And this increased imagination and these creative thinking skills or adaptability can be seen in only children because growing up without siblings forces them to adapt to different social situations and to learn to entertain themselves because they don't really have anybody to entertain them. And once again, because of the fact that their general immediate family consists of just them and their parents, they aren't surrounded by siblings or people, which means that they may develop a strong sense of independence and self-reliance. And because of this self-reliance and independence seen in them, only children often develop strong problem-solving abilities. They learn to find creative solutions to challenges and overcome obstacles independently, as opposed to, say, youngest children. I talked about this in my previous episode, how youngest children are kind of reliant. They have eldest siblings to look up to, and they kind of observe how they manage their hardships and overcome their difficulties and mimic that, or they just go directly to them for help. And this isn't really what only children do because they don't really have anybody to go to other than their parents. So they kind of learn to take accountability and problem solve and find creative solutions. So because the main social circle or circle of social interaction of only children is with adults, they tend to develop well-established communication and interpersonal skills. But because they do primarily interact with adults, so their parents, friends, older family members, they may be reserved and introverted throughout their early lives because they kind of struggle to communicate with people their age. However, they tend to exhibit more mature behaviors and higher level of responsibility during adulthood. This is also similarly seen in eldest children. There are actually a lot of similarities between the personalities of eldest children and only children. Which if you have listened to the first episode of this series, which did talk about eldest children, you may have taken notice of already. They're both really independent, they both are mature, they know how to communicate with adults well, and that's kind of a pattern that I came across when I was doing research for this mini-series. So before I go on a tangent, I wanted to let you guys know that for this episode, we actually had some listener submissions. I requested some personal experiences and anecdotes from my listeners who are only children, so that we could take a look at some of the lived only child experiences and how they may have shaped their current personalities. So I spoke a bit with one of my listeners. She's actually a really close friend of mine. She's about my age, she's 15, and she's an only child. She told me a lot about how, as an only child, she's had to be fairly independent throughout her life. In her case, she's grown up mainly surrounded by adults, and there was never really anybody her age in her family. She told me about how that made her a more mature person and how that opened her eyes to a lot of experiences. She's also felt, and a lot of what I've taken out of this conversation was that only children kind of have the chance to explore more and be more adventurous. Having many children can overwhelm parents, making them more inclined to take trips and vacations away from their kids for a break. But being an only child, her parents have involved her in a lot of things. She recounted that a lot of her friends growing up who have had siblings, their parents would often leave them together when traveling or doing some other experiences together. But throughout her life, she's always done everything with her parents. Travel trips, work experiences, different outings, they're all more frequent in an only child's life, which kind of gives them access to or opens their eyes to different perspectives and allows them to explore new things and develop a wider range of interests. And this again adds on to how an only child is just naturally more creative. Not only are they asked from birth to learn to entertain themselves due to their lack of siblings, but they also have access to a lot more experiences tagging along with their parents on most occasions, which opens their eyes to different perspectives, as I said, allowing them to be more creative and develop more interests. So just to summarize, the key traits we'd usually see in only children are independence, awareness of surroundings, creativity, adaptability, and maturity. Now, like I said in the previous episodes of this series, at the end of each episode of this mini-series, I wanted to introduce a segment where I highlight the emotional impacts of these characteristics on each birth category, just to give you guys some advice on how to lead a better life for your mental health and well-beings. So, as an only child, you possess unique strengths that can set you apart from others. And I want you guys to embrace your independence and your self-reliance because this can make you natural problem solvers and decision makers. Don't be afraid to express your individuality and find your own path. Your ability to entertain yourselves and find joy in solitude because you don't have many siblings or any siblings makes you all so creative, so embrace your creativity and see what you might be able to come up with. It's okay to feel lonely sometimes, especially because you guys don't have siblings to interact with, but don't let this define your social life. I want you guys to make an effort to connect with peers, join clubs, sports teams, and find activities that bring you joy in your younger years, even though it may be difficult at times. It's also important to communicate your needs and feelings to your parents. They want to support you and help you thrive, but it's important that you guys set boundaries and learn to say no when necessary. Most importantly, it's important that you celebrate your unique qualities and don't let stereotypes limit your potential. I know only children are extremely slandered and they don't get a chance to justify themselves all over social media. But you guys have an opportunity to develop a strong sense of self and achieve great things. You're more than your stereotypes, so please never forget that. Alright, that's a wrap for today's episode. If you want to keep the conversation going, you can find me on Instagram and YouTube at Official Rewired. My email is khadija.farrash@gmail.com if you'd like to contact me there. That's khadija.farrash@gmail.com. Or if you're feeling extra chatty, join our community Discord where you can hang out and discuss this and upcoming episodes, have access to early snippets and announcements, and a couple more special perks. You can find all the links to my socials in the show notes below and in the link tree in my description. Don't forget to drop a comment, question, feedback, or anything you'd like to let me know of down below if you're feeling extra generous. And if you really enjoyed, a 5-star rating on Spotify or a like and subscribe on YouTube would mean the world. I can't wait to chat with you again soon and see you in the next episode.